Check. Okay, welcome to the One Life, One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. Today I have a very special guest, Mr. Ethan Suplee. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I was just on his podcast 2 days ago, and I actually get nervous being on other people's podcasts, so now I'm in my own domain, so I can be easy flow.
You can say whatever you want halfway through.
Yeah.
You're like, fuck you, man.
No. So you're the second actor I've had on my podcast. The first was Rappaport, and you're my second one. And interesting enough, you guys are both born in New York.
Yeah.
And you were born in Manhattan?
Yeah.
How was it growing up in New York? It's interesting because a lot of my friends I know from New York aren't actually born in New York.
I was born in New York, but grew up here.
Okay.
So we moved out when I was like 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I cling to that fact that I was born in New York very hard, you know?
It's good credit. East Coast.
Yeah, exactly. I am not from Los Angeles. Though my kids were born here, and I think they're outliers, man. I don't think a lot of people are born here in Los Angeles.
No, a lot of transplants.
Yeah.
So, wow, you moved here when you were 1.
Yeah. I have no memory. I don't have any memory of, like, going to Gray's Papaya as a 1-year-old. I have zero memories of New York.
It's kind of like a good, like, street that you're from New York. I was born in Manhattan.
Yeah.
That's cool.
There's a picture of me with a bagel, and I think I have a memory of that, but it could just be a memory of the picture.
Wow. Did you spend a lot of time in New York throughout your life, though?
Yes. Yeah, we always went back to New York. I love New York, and now one of my kids lives there. She goes to school there.
It's cool.
So we're there a lot. We were there actually March 3rd. She had an art show at her school, and we were there. And I was like talking to people like, are we worried about this virus? Like, just my perception, New York is a much denser place. A lot of people on top of each other. And I was worried and kind of like saying to her, like, we're going to go back to LA now, which I feel like is going to be much safer. Mm-hmm. I want you to think about coming out here. And she came out a week or 2 later, which was good. Just
in time, because you'd be stuck there by now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how was it growing up in California? Like, do you remember, obviously, how was school? You have siblings?
I have one little sister. Yeah.
Okay.
Growing up here was awesome. You know, I guess there's some aspects of New York that when we would go and visit, I think you have more contact with people, which I enjoy. But I also then like the idea that you can escape that contact with people like we do here. Like we're all kind of confined to our houses and our cars for the most part until we enter some public place, like a show or a grocery store or whatever. And then we like make the decision to be a part of the public. But otherwise, we're solo, where New York, like, even when you're in your house, generally, unless you live in, like, upstate or something, you're still a part of the public because 4 feet away in almost any direction, there's going to be another habitation.
Yeah.
You know, and so I like both things. I think that ideally there would be a better mixture of the two, like more connection here.
Yeah.
Or less connection there, but I think both things in doses are good.
Yeah, I mean, New York, you just walk out of your house, there's like hundreds of people, you're banging into people, you're always touching a stranger, and the subways, just all that. Thinking about that now with the current situation, it's like, it's gross and kind of scary, but like growing up in there and taking the trains and being around people, the energy of the people, there's something about that. But also when you're living in New York, where I was there before I had a son, before I was married, but like just the energy of just being kind of young through that city, it's an incredible energy of all the different people.
Yeah, you can feed off that energy. It's nice.
Yeah, so I moved here from Manhattan, so where I live now, this is like suburbia to me. Like you said, like this house is on my street. Like I can drive like three minutes and be over by the Grove, over by Melrose. Like you said, going to the city. This is kind of like suburbs.
Yeah, even in Brooklyn, where people have what they call houses. The houses are all touching each other. You know what I mean? True. Or they're separated by like 2 inches.
Yeah.
And here, there's just more space.
Yeah.
And you got to go like way out on Long Island to see a house the way we consider a house to be a house.
True.
With property kind of surrounding the whole thing. You know,
neighborhoods
it's wild.
And stuff. Yeah, and Queens too.
Yeah.
I think that's how we were ahead of the curve in Coronas, because we were spread out and our friends in New York are like on top of each other. People taking elevators together, pressing the same buttons, going to the bodegas together, going back in their house.
And then the trains, dude.
They never shut them down.
And they're just, you get packed, like sometimes on rush hour, you get packed in there like sardines. And, you know, proximity to a person and then being indoors, even when you're walking around on the sidewalk, you're near to people, but there's at least the atmosphere to like separate or disperse whatever the virus is.
Yeah.
You get on that train, dude, and what you got like 3 feet above your head and everything's just trapped in there.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even since I've become older and went back to visit New York many times, as I've been older, I still get claustrophobic taking trains. Like, growing up and going on trains when I was younger, it was so fun and easy. But now even it's like, ew. Not even on a germ level, just like on like underground. Just I don't know, just who knows what could happen. But now I can't even imagine like even moving forward with that. Even
there was a really long stretch of my life where like as a kid, going with my parents, I remember getting on trains. And then when I started working and going to New York for work, I never took trains. I would take cabs.
Yeah.
Because I was lazy. You know, I'm like a lazy actor. So that's what we do. We're not taking trains. And that lasted for years and years and years. And it wasn't until my kids started living there and I would go to visit her. And, you know, at that point, the plans are all on her.
Yeah.
And she's like, we're going to go to this restaurant. And she has everything figured out. And I'm like, okay, do we call an Uber? And she's like, what? What's that? No, we take a train. And so I started taking trains again. And yeah, I agree, man. I don't know if I'm just too accustomed to LA lifestyle, but there is something about cramming into a space with people that I don't know how that really comes back. I think it's probably just a necessity for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's like no choice. You have to do it, you know?
Yeah.
I always had a fear of like getting, when sometimes the lights would go out underneath or it would pause in between two stations, like freaked me out. That was always a fear too.
Yeah, and the L, the big train from Brooklyn or I guess you get Queens with the L too. Maybe not Queens, but Brooklyn certainly. They were shutting that down in one direction to do some repairs for like a year.
Okay.
And like the amount of traffic coming over the bridges was almost impossible to tolerate.
Yeah.
You know, that's like so many people are on that. 1 million people every day or something more than that. It's wild.
So, all right. So growing up here, how were you in school? Did you like school?
I hated school. I hated school. I was not I wasn't a great student. I hated school. I left when I was 14.
Wow.
Yeah. School, I was not into it. I really regret not going to college, not because there's something, some industry I wish I was a part of, like law or medicine.
Yeah.
But because the idea today of having 4, or if I was going to go and get a PhD in something, 6 or 8 years of being semi-responsible for myself and studying, that sounds like a gift from God to me today.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have done it, I guess, when I was a kid. And so I really want my kids to go to college. 2 of them are currently, and I hope the next 2 go also. But, you know, I don't know if it's really worthwhile or it's just like a luxury at this point, you know?
Yeah. So you quit school at 14. So what grade would that be? That would be
like 8th
grade.
Yeah.
And what was the reason?
I just hated school.
Were you having issues in school, or were you a wild kid or anything?
I would get in fights, and I wasn't having like real bad issues. I just couldn't go. I just didn't want to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And were your parents cool about you quitting?
No, not cool at all. But I was very problematic for them. So that they had a lot of trouble dictating my life. And so at a certain point, I just said, no, I'm not going to do this. And, you know, I was a big 14-year-old. Mm-hmm. There was no way my dad was going to like pick me up and walk me into school.
Dang.
Yeah.
So did you get a job? Like, what did you do?
I didn't. I got in trouble for a couple of years, and then I started working as an actor. And an actor is kind of the perfect job for a talentless, lazy person.
So what did you had no goals at that point when you quit? Like, I'm gonna quit school. This sucks. I'm gonna do this. Or you just kind of just like, I'm gonna quit school and figure it out.
At 10, I really, I kind of gravitated towards biology, and I had like this thought of like, oh, I could be a doctor. Like that was my thought. And by the time I was 14, I think I'd seen Scarface, and I thought being like a drug cartel, that was like, I thought that looked cool. You know what I mean? Like, you had access to all the drugs, so you could do all the drugs, and then you could sell the drugs and become rich. Like, that seemed romantic to me. I never did that. But I like romanticized that. And then I had a friend who was an actor, and while going to school, right before I quit school, I went to work with him one day, and it was in the middle of school. He just got to not go to school that day, and went and like played make believe, and like had all these people fawning over him, making sure his hair and makeup was good, and like giving him clothes to wear, and he like got to do this acting that seemed fun, and so by the time I was 16, I was kind of thinking about that. Like, that dude has a good life. Like, he nobody's telling him from, like, he gets to like ditch his normal life and go play in this fantasy world, and so that's what kind of drew me to that. Did
you get along with your parents after that?
I started to get along with them once I was kind of autonomous and taking care of myself, and I had some what I considered to be agency over myself. I kind of started to respect what they were trying to do with me more, you know?
Yeah.
But it took me being responsible for myself to kind of have that epiphany.
Yeah. Were they supportive of you wanting to be an actor?
Yeah, I mean, they were supportive of me wanting to do anything but be like a drug cartel.
Scarface.
They weren't into that. They were like, if you're going to be a criminal, we're not into it, but the next best thing, you know, one step up, we're okay with.
Were you partying back then and stuff too, or no?
Yeah.
Did you start at an early age doing that?
I started pretty early, and I was really into drugs and alcohol until I was like 24, 25. Yeah.
Wow. So you started probably like around 14, 15?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just experiment with the people you're hanging out with, I guess, right?
Yeah. I would not go to school and go to the park near my house, and there were always kids there doing shit that, kids are not supposed to be getting into.
Yeah. So it seems like you had like loving, awesome parents. Maybe I'm wrong, but and a sibling. What do you think you were so rebellious for?
I had fantastic parents. I don't know, man. When I really try to do deep dives on analyzing this kind of thing today and think about it like philosophically, I think that like anything that is being done to me against my will, that I am kind of having no say in, it doesn't really work for me. But if I can try to attack this, whatever it is, from multiple points of view and try to assume, which I think is also very hard to do, to assume another point of view is difficult, but you can if you think about it from a long time. I realized that like I can take stats and data and stuff and recognize that there is no value to the stats and data until I give that information value. So anything moral that's occurring is from a point of view. It's not actually real in the way that like this table is in front of us is a real thing.
Yeah.
Now we could get really deep into this, but there are molecules that make up this table that we decide it's a table that we're going to use as a table is up to us, right? To somebody else, it could be shelter.
Good point.
Or somebody could look at it and have no discernible use for it at all. Or somebody could want to break it up and use it as firewood. So whatever value it has is from a point of view. And if I can wrap my head around a point of view where anything that's being done to me that I can find some agreement with, I can get into it a little bit, but I find that usually I do best with things that are self-motivated. And so I didn't come to wanting to learn anything until I woke up one day interested in learning. And then I was interested in like philosophy and stuff like that. And I started reading on my own. And I woke up one day and wanted to be an actor. And I was able to do that. If, you know, you come to me and you say, you have to do this, it's going to be very difficult for me. Now, today, I will try to see whatever your point of view is and try to make some kind of connection with it to see how it could work for me. But like school just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
You know, was that even what we were talking about?
No,
I feel like I went off on a fucking tangent.
I love it. That was awesome. All right. So you start getting into acting like what, 16?
16, 17. Yeah.
And so do you go take acting classes?
I took acting classes. I took acting classes for a while, and I remember the last kind of like scene I put up in acting class that the teacher said, I need you to do that scene again, like go work on it and come back and do it again because something's off and I don't know what it is. And I was just like, that's not helpful. I'm going to go learn to act by just being an actor. And so I went out like the next day and got an agent, and the first day of auditions he sent me out on, I had a job. And so then I just decided that I didn't need acting school anymore.
Wow. And would that be 95?
Yeah, no, it was even before that. Yeah, no, it was 93, 94. Yeah, it's the first job I ever had was a show called Boy Meets World.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was a big show. I remember that show.
Yeah. Thank God it was part of TGIF. We were on the fucking Friday night lineup.
That's awesome. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Wow. So that's the first one.
First one. Yeah. And the first audition I went on was for Melrose Place. And
wow. I used to watch that show.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, Melrose Place and Boy Meets World. Okay, here we go. And I went to Melrose Place audition and then was on my way to Boy Meets World and had to use a payphone because I didn't have a cell phone back then.
Old school.
Called my agent to make sure I had all the right information. He's like, Melrose Place wants to hire you, but you don't have a Screen Actors Guild card, so they're going to try to figure out if they can buy you one. Like there's a Taft-Hartley law which lets you into the union. And I got to Boy Meets World. I did my Boy Meets World audition, and I left. And I called the agent, and he said, "So Melrose Place won't Taft-Hartley you, so they're not going to do that. But Boy Meets World will, and you can go do that." Sick. So that was like that was day one, and I was like, okay, well, I'm an actor now.
That's amazing. Were your parents stoked?
Yeah, very happy. Because
that was a show at the point. It was already a big show. Or was it?
Yeah, no, because I started year 2 of their run, and yeah, it was a big show.
Yeah. And then after that is Mallrats, no?
Mallrats was... Well...
That's a big one, man.
Mallrats, no, was not my next job. I mean, there's some other stuff in it.
In between,
I know they list it like this, but like Mallrats, I think I had done like a couple... I wound up doing Boy Meets World for a couple of years. Yeah. So I'd done a bunch of episodes, and then I did some commercials, and then I went and did Mallrats, and I thought like, I'm not a TV actor anymore. Now I'm a movie guy. And Mallrats came out, and then nobody saw it in the movie theater. It didn't become like a successful movie for 10 years. Like nobody watched it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that. That's Kevin Smith, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a really cult classic now, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah. It did.
So it didn't do good in the theaters when it came out?
Did not do good in the theaters at all. Yeah, people hated it. They yanked it. Like, I don't even think it made it 2 weeks in the theaters.
Were you bummed?
I didn't really understand back then
the
how anything worked. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah.
I was just like, hey, I'm in a movie theater.
Yeah, that's sick. So that's amazing. So there's TV to that. Did you want to be any certain type? You just wanted to act. You didn't care what it was like, drama, comedy, whatever. You just wanted to act.
Yeah, I liked both of them.
Did you have somebody that you looked up to as an actor back then?
You know, oddly, I really liked this dude Peter Lorre, who is like I think he was German, and he was in like Casablanca, and he was in Arsenic and Old Lace, and this great Fritz Lang movie called M. This awesome kind of old school character actor, and I really remember thinking like, that dude has a great career. So he was really the guy I kind of idolized back then.
And did you watch a lot of movies growing up?
Yeah, a lot of movies. I spent a lot of time watching movies, and I went through weird periods where I would only watch like Humphrey Bogart movies, and and then like went through a David Lean era, and I would get stuck on genres kind of.
Were you working jobs in between, or were you just trying to be like, were you trying to be a full-time actor after Boy Meets World? Or are you trying to?
No, honestly, once I got that job, that's the only job I've had since then. I'm always...
To this day?
Yeah.
Wow, man. Holy that's amazing, man.
Yeah.
And you were how old then?
16.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing,
but also at 16, how much money do you need? I didn't need... this was like money for drive-thrus.
But just career-wise, like I looked up a lot of your stuff, it's like you worked almost every single year consistently, man.
Yeah.
So how soon after that was Chasing Amy?
Chasing Amy was like maybe a year later.
I love it. That's an amazing movie, man. It's a great movie. Yeah. That did well.
Yeah. That crushed because Kevin Smith made a movie for like $40,000 that made money. Now, honestly, in order to make money at $40,000, all you have to do is make $40,001 and you made money. Right. So it's not, the bar is very low.
Yeah.
But then they spent like $6 million on Mallrats, and it didn't make money. It lost a bunch of money. So he went back to his earlier model, and I think he spent a couple $100,000 on Chasing Amy, but then it's like easier to make money, but it wound up doing better than Mallrats.
Yeah. I love that girl in there, man. I can see her face right now.
Joey Adams. Yeah. She was awesome.
Yeah. So that's two Kevin Smiths right there, right?
Yeah.
He has actually a good story too. Now he lost all that weight.
Yeah. And he's vegan.
Yeah, I know. Turned his life around.
Yeah.
He'd be good to have on your podcast.
I did.
Oh, you did?
I had him on. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be on him. I'm gonna be on his podcast in a couple weeks, I think.
Awesome. He's a great dude.
And then, how many movies after that was the one I'm really excited to talk about? Is American History X.
American History X was.
That was 98.
98. Well, we might have shot it in 97 and it came out in 98. Yeah, that was an awesome movie. Around the time that I was like 14, 15, I would go to ska shows and punk rock shows, and was certainly in a scene that was heavily involved in like the movement of anti-racism.
Yes.
And there was a big contingency of overt racism in Orange County. There were like skinhead gangs and like these white Aryan resistance dudes, and we would fight with them. They would come up to shows that were in Hollywood or the Valley and hang out in the parking lot, and we would fight. And then we would go down to shows in Orange County. So the fact that I could be in American History X was really meaningful to me because it was something that I was very passionate about. Yeah,
and I always want to talk to you about that. I get like your roots in punk rock and all that stuff, and because like just everything about your character, it was so believable. You know what I mean? Like, you obviously had beat up people like that before, been around people like that before. Yeah,
I mean, I was never socially around people like that before, but I definitely had some run-ins with people like that, and then the director wanted us to like sit down with people and I was like
real people like that.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like, it might not go well, but I had to like switch hats and go like, I'm an actor now, and the director wants me to like study this guy.
Should actually meet with like Nazis, like white power people, and ask them questions or
and then there were scenes where I don't know if the director fully understood the dynamics, certainly the dynamics of Los Angeles, but I guess the casting director would put out feelers for all skinheads for atmosphere, and not to realize that there were different factions, like sharp skinheads and war skinheads are not going to get along. You don't want them.
So they would show up as extras?
Yeah. And there were fights. There were a couple fights on the sets.
Holy shit.
I mean, it wasn't, there were no like riots or brawls or anything, but like if we're filming a scene where like I'm in a band singing this crazy song and you want to have like people, watching the song and you want to have them look realistic, not a lot of people were shaving their heads as a fashion thing in 1997.
No.
So you need a bunch of people with shaved heads, and then the gals running the fringe hairstyle and all of that. Like, you want some of that. You can't just cast that net super wide in the 90s. Like, you're going to get a bunch of people that don't like each other.
It's true.
And I don't think they realized that. And I was just like, I'm just an actor. I'm wearing my actor hat. I'm staying out of this,
But it seems like you're the main actor from the movie that actually knew about the culture.
I did have some understanding, that the movie is very much about the racist aspect. There wasn't really any portion of it that was like, hey, there are people in an ancillary scene that are adamantly opposed to this. You know what I mean? It didn't really showcase that at all.
That's true, actually.
But I don't know that it needed to showcase that, really.
That's not what the movie's about. Edward Norton did an incredible job, too, man. Like,
awesome.
He looks so... He was so powerful, man.
Yeah.
Did you have to like let him know about stuff like that, too?
No, I never even brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Even, like, the shirts and just everything, like, just the bands, and it was just...
Yeah. Yeah.
Did that movie do good when it came out?
Yeah. It was well received, and Norton got an Academy Award nomination for it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some gnarly scenes in there, man. It's really intense.
Yeah.
I love that girl too. I forgot her name. She was in tons of movies, like vampire movies.
Fairuza Balk.
Yeah, interesting name. I would never get her name right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
She's
awesome.
Is she still acting? She's around?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She was a badass too.
Yeah. She was
just
great.
Everything about it. And that was supposed to be in Venice?
Yeah, which is another odd thing. I never thought of Venice as being like a hotbed for racism as a kid. Certainly, if you go a little further south, there was a lot of that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Maybe there were guys like that in Venice that I never hung out in Venice as a kid.
Yeah.
I was Hollywood or the Valley.
Yeah, I remember seeing that come out, like the ads for that movie. I was like, holy shit. Was there any other kind of any negative pushback from skinhead community or anything like that, or no?
Not that I
Yeah, that's before
of.
The internet, isn't?
Yeah.
I can imagine that now.
Right.
It's a whole different thing coming out now,
I don't know if you can do that movie now.
No.
Yeah, I actually, oddly enough, there was a picture of me and Edward Furlong from the set.
Okay.
And one day somebody forwarded it to me from Twitter, and there was a person on Twitter who put that picture up and said, I've been seeing these two at shows, get them, or something like that. And I was like, first of all, this picture's 25 years old. And second of all, it's from a movie. Like, these are not real people.
Oh my God, man.
But like, the fucking internet is a wild place.
It is so wild, man.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sure I got the ones that written down. I can't do every single movie, but Dogma.
Yeah, Dogma.
That's a great one too.
Dogma, Dogma was one of my favorite scripts I've ever read. It was such an interesting, like, take on religion, on Catholicism, I thought, and like just kind of humanizing these deities or these angels, and kind of giving them a voice as though, like, it was
interesting. Was that Kevin Smith too again?
Yeah.
Wow, man, he loves you.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a fun movie, and I played the shit demon.
Shit demon, yeah.
Yeah.
And that did good when it came out. Seems like it's a cult classic, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it did as well as Chasing Amy, but like I think it made money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I think is amazing, you do not only one, but you're in 2 Denzel movies.
3.
3?
We were almost the Coreys.
Remember the Titans? John Q. What's the other one?
Unstoppable.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
How was it working with Denzel? That's crazy, man.
It was awesome.
That's an incredible movie too. Remember that's an amazing, uplifting, powerful movie.
So such a cool movie, and it was really fun because I think I don't know if I did Blow in between them, but like I did.
Oh, that's right, Blow too.
I did.
It in there, yeah.
I got to do American History X, and so like kind of attack racism from that position, and then do Remember the Titans, which was another kind of attack on racism. Too.
Yeah.
So it was really fun. Denzel was wild because there was like a kind of distinct factions of like, here are the actors that are the high school kids, and we all kind of hung out and had our area like in between shots and takes, like, and then here are the adults over here, and like Denzel and Will Patton.
Oh yeah.
And all the adults are like kind of separated a little bit, which is fine. Makes sense too. Yeah. Now being an adult myself, if there were a bunch of rowdy teenagers, cavorting around, I would be like, get them the fuck away from me too. And so there wasn't I had really very little interaction with him outside of the scenes we did.
Yeah.
And then when I went to do John Q, it was like we were best friends.
That's awesome.
Because here's like a whole new ensemble group that neither of us know, but we know each other, so it was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And Blow was awesome too, man.
Blow was a good movie, yeah.
That's a powerful movie as well.
Yeah.
That did really well too.
That did well, yeah. And I definitely started to get envious again while doing that, of being a drug cartel kingpin again. Yeah.
Were you sober during all these movies?
No, I didn't get sober until 2001. Okay. And those were all in the 90s.
Yeah. So 2001, you go stone cold sober?
Yeah.
And what do you think it was that made you have that?
I was most likely going to die. I was very, very overweight and just very reckless with my health. Like didn't care about my health at all. And I just, there were a couple months where I would go to bed every night and kind of be resigned with the fact that like I could die in my sleep.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
it's heavy, man.
People die in their sleep when they're doing a bunch of drugs, and people die in there when they're heavy. And so I had these two factors working against me, and I think I just woke up one day going like, "What a shitty way to go!" Like I've become really apathetic about life, and and I think I'd seen a doctor and like had really awful blood work and like had bad, like my liver function was bad. All my my lipid panels were all bad.
That's why you're so important now.
Yeah. Had really swollen ankles, which the doctor said was probably the beginning signs of congestive heart failure. Damn. Like it was just
How old were you?
23.
Wow.
24, I guess.
Okay.
2001, 24. And I just thought it would be a more heroic tale that even if I died, I wanted to like be on the road to like being at least I wanted to be drug free. Like I died.
Yeah. What kinds is drinking and stuff? Heavy drinking?
Drinking and drugs. I did
everything?
All the drugs. Yeah.
Cocaine, obviously.
All of it, yeah.
Wow. So the more you stayed busy and the movies were doing good, you started making money. Were you living on your own just by yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. And just wilding out, partying.
Yeah. I was a guy that could do a bunch of opiates and still put away like, 4 family value meals at McDonald's or Wendy's or something.
So what was the most you weighed?
The highest I ever was on a scale, and I don't know how scales work today. I imagine they've gone up some as the country's weight seems to climb.
Yeah.
But back then they went to like 300 pounds or maybe 350, which I could never do. But there was a place that had a shipping scale that went up to like 700 pounds. And I got on that scale, and the highest I ever saw on a scale was 536.
Holy shit.
But I know I gained weight after that. So I was for sure heavier than that. I don't know exactly how heavy. So in my mind, I'm like 550, but that's like only 14 pounds above. It could have been even above that. So
at that point, you weren't worried about the weight as much as you were worried about the drugs at that point.
I wasn't thinking about the weight so much, and I got sober, and it was within like a year and a half that I started to think about the weight, but I definitely got sober first.
Sober first.
Yeah.
And so you've been sober ever since?
Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my wife drinks.
My wife does too.
Yeah, and I've gone on trips in Europe where she'll like want to hit all the wine tasting. Yeah. all the wine tasting stuff in Italy, and I would go and like all the wineries would also produce olive oil, and I would do olive oil tastings. And then I mean, fuck, there was one year where I wasn't even eating bread. And I
remember that.
Usually they'll give you olive oil and bread, and you dip the bread in the olive oil, and then and I was like, I don't eat bread. I was just taking little thimbles of olive oil and shooting them to go like, oh yeah, this one tastes like nutty. I was making bullshit up, like while she's tasting her aromatic wines.
So, so when did you start losing weight? Did you do that soon after, a couple years after that?
2002.
2002.
Yeah, and I, with sobriety, I found that like for me, rock bottom meant that I was incapable of making a plan, because I tried to get sober a number of times on my own, just stop doing drugs, and it didn't work. And so my rock bottom was like, I'm going to turn this over to somebody else and put this in their hands and just do what they tell me to do until I get my footing. Like now my life is not designed that way, but it was at that moment, that I really could recognize that it was beyond my control. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of did the same thing with regard to my weight. I went like, I've tried diets. I don't really know much about nutrition. So I just said to who is my wife now, I said, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to do what you tell me, but here's what I want. Yeah. I want to lose weight, and I want your help. And she said, great, I'll figure something out. And she found a plan for me, and I did that for, probably 6 months. Yeah. And in that time, I started to research other diets, because the diets I did for a long time were diets that were like, do this until you lose the amount of weight you want to lose, and then you're done and you don't have to diet anymore. And so I find that every time I did that, I just gained weight again. Yeah. And I definitely did that for a long time. I gained and lost weight. And, but I could also become more and more responsible for myself over those periods of time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like able to research a diet and do that diet successfully, figuring out the post-diet routine took me a while, you know what I mean? Because left to my own devices, if there's a movement right now, I'm going to forget what it's called. I think it's something about just like eat what you feel or what you think, intuitive eating it's called. Okay. And I go like, if you want to lose 10 pounds and you want to take that advice and do some nutritional research and then intuit what your nutrition should be, that's fine. Yeah. I am a true glutton. Like I will overdo everything. And I was put on a diet when I was 5 and developed really, really bad eating habits from a very early age.
5, wow.
I destroyed any sense my body had of when it was full. Like that doesn't exist within me. So, I like watch people who I consider normal people. I think there's normal people who can use drugs and alcohol and it doesn't destroy their lives. Yeah. And I think of them as normal people. And I think of like people who aren't morbidly obese today as normal people. It's a terrible word to put on anyone, normal, but that's just my, how we use language. We put things in categories, right? Mm-hmm. And so I categorize thin people for the most part. It's like I don't like essentialism, but I use it in this way. And I realize that it's irrational too, but I didn't have that. I don't have that. I look for it now. Like I'll set out a day of eating and I'll try to be mindful of when I've eaten what is calorically and nutritionally a proper meal. I will try to sit for a few minutes and recognize what my body is doing, how it feels, what it feels like in my stomach, what my energy feels like, what my alertness feels like all these factors can change, and I just dulled the shit out of them as a kid, and so I don't like intuitive eating. To me seems completely insane, but there is a universe where with some effort and diligence I can not be morbidly obese.
Yeah. I mean, you did keto. You said you didn't do bread for like a year.
Almost 10 years.
I didn't do bread. Too, right?
Yeah, no sugar. I still don't really eat sugar today.
So how long? You did 10 years no bread?
Yeah.
And did that help, you think? You think gluten's an issue?
No. Gluten is not an issue for me. I eat bread today. Could it be an issue for somebody? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And there's real diseases there's celiac. That's a scientifically, you can look at that in a microscope. You can look at blood with celiac.
But you didn't have that. You just didn't want to try to eat bread. Okay.
Yeah. For me, the idea for a long time, I would look for the responsibility in other places outside of myself. Okay. So if I could go like, well, it's carbohydrates' fault that I'm fat. It's just that I can't process carbohydrates. So if I excise those from my diet, then I'll be fine. Ultimately not true.
Yeah, you need that.
You still, and even if you're not eating carbohydrates, if you eat, 5,000 calories in bacon every day, and your body's only burning 2,500 calories a day, you're going to gain weight. Yeah. That's just that's thermodynamics. Mm-hmm. We can put whatever value on the law of thermodynamics that we want. It's still there. It still exists. Yeah. So it was easy for me to cut out this whole kind of macronutrient, carbohydrates, and go like, what I'm going to derive fuel from is protein and fat, period. Okay, now my pool to choose from is much smaller. So I have more responsibility right there, because whatever my limited responsibility is, if it's overwhelmed by too much, I'm going to give up and fail. But if you reduce it, okay, I can be responsible for proteins and fat. Now, that said, for years, I would go back and forth with like a lazy version of keto, which was like going to a movie theater, buying a hot dog, throwing the bun away, and dipping the hot dog in nacho cheese.
Okay.
And I wouldn't lose weight.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. and
keto's just meat, right?
Keto's meat and vegetables.
Okay.
So when I was doing a quote unquote clean keto, I would call it, I would eat like chicken breast, or not chicken thigh, because it's a little higher in fat, a bunch of vegetables, and some olive oil. And even then, I could find that I would overeat. So I'd have to even go, okay, I got to get a little bit more strict, reduce a little bit, experience a little bit of hunger, but not overwhelming. And then I'd lose weight. And then I'd go like, oh, it's just the carbohydrates. There's all this kind of cognitive dissonance of like, it's just the carbohydrates, but it's just the carbohydrates with a little more diligence, and then a little more diligence, and then even some more, right? And so today, having read a shitload of nutritional books and scientific studies on this stuff, I go like, at the end of the day, you can lose weight eating McDonald's. Now, you might not feel great.
Yeah.
And it might not be a lot of food, like by volume, the food might be less because that stuff is calorically dense. But you can. At the end of the day, the amount of calories you consume really do matter. So whatever you're doing, if you're losing weight, you're in a caloric deficit, period. Okay. And the one-size-fit-all diets don't make sense to me anymore either, because like my caloric needs are very different from your caloric needs. Yeah. I weigh 260 pounds. I'm 12% body fat. I have a ton of muscle. I probably need to eat. I mean, I'm absolutely sure, unless you have like hyperthyroid or something like that, or whatever it is. I need to eat a lot of food.
Yeah.
I feel best when the majority of that food is protein, and the next biggest block is carbohydrates, and I'm actually eating minimal fat. But I got to eat some fat, but just a lessened amount. And that's kind of the balance I've come to. I eat 6 meals a day.
Wow.
They're all pretty much thought through of like how they're going to be ratioed and their caloric balance and all of this.
You do all that every day?
Yeah. I mean, wow. I can almost eyeball it now. Like, I know a cup of rice has between 45 and 50 grams of calories. I know it's 45 and 50 grams of carbohydrates.
White rice or brown rice? Is it different?
Yeah, brown rice has a little bit more.
Okay. Is it better for you brown rice?
I don't digest brown rice as well as I digest white rice. So I actually don't eat.
I thought it was a difference in proteins or whatever. Not proteins, but.
I mean, there probably is. I just don't mess with brown rice. I know, like, you know, Ora wheat, extra sour rye dough, a rye bread has like 70 calories per slice with like 14 grams of carbohydrates. So I can like build a meal around this stuff. But it's not that, it didn't take really as much work even as figuring out how to dial in keto. At first, when you cut out carbohydrates, your body, the liquid, the water stored in your muscles goes away. So even if you're eating in a caloric surplus for the first week or two of keto, you're going to lose weight on a scale. It's mostly water.
Okay.
Once you've depleted your body of that hydration that the carbs are allowing you to hold on to, which none of it is fat, it's all just water.
Okay. You
have to be in a caloric deficit to lose fat, to burn fat. You have to. So to dial it in, which I just thought I was, you know, a rare exception. I stopped losing weight on keto on the scale, and I'd have to reduce my food. And then when I'd start losing weight again, I started getting these scans of my body, and I realized after about 10 years that I was also giving up a lot of muscle, which I didn't want to do. Okay. So then I just went down the rabbit hole of nutrition and kind of changed everything around. At the end of the day, none of this shit matters. All that matters is if you find a diet that you like that works, then that's valid if you want to lose weight. Yeah.
I mean, you definitely inspire me to get abs. I'm 50 years old. I never had abs. I've always been skinny and wiry and stuff. And like, I am vegan, and not that matters, but I'm saying that you're getting abs at your age. You never had them your whole life. And I'm like, fuck. I want to get him too. Like, I started this ab workout yesterday. I'm going to focus on it, but I might get advice from you off this about what, even on a vegan diet, like what you think I should be doing to burn, because I can feel my abs there. Yeah, and there's just a little like 50-year-old flab over it. I can feel the abs, and I do a lot of working out.
Yeah, we all have abs. Yeah, I just want mine to be visible.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like, I want to be able to burn it off and do the right things to do that. You know what I mean? I know it's like.
I'm going to show you a picture. You're gonna bug out. And I'm sorry if this is really boring for the people. I love this. The people online.
Interesting to people. We never talk about shit like this on here.
Yeah.
Another great movie is Butterfly Effect, by the way.
Yes, Butterfly Effect was awesome. Dude. And what a concept, huh? Butterfly flaps its wings somewhere and like causes a tsunami in another country. That's wild.
Yeah, that was ahead of its time, actually.
Yeah.
That could actually happen maybe right now.
Well, I mean, I walk around every day going like, coronavirus was caused by a butterfly in like Montreal, you know, who sneezed. That's a couple weeks ago.
That's you?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude.
That's abs.
Holy shit, dude. Bro, it's so inspiring, man. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That next to like a picture of you from back then.
Yeah, crazy, right?
You should be so proud. I mean, you work so hard. I remember you like riding bikes with Giovanni all the time in your bike suits, and you were like, when I first saw, I was like, damn, we lost so much weight. Like even then, but when you lost all the weight, so it's when you see somebody like you and you see the weight loss, it's kind of like, is that really him? But now you look like you like you said, you built muscle, and now it looks like how you're supposed to look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you tried.
In fairness, I got so skinny. Like I
remember that.
I got to like almost 50 pounds less than I am now.
Wow.
Now, here's the crazy thing. The way bodybuilders do it, they'll diet really carefully to lose fat only and protect muscle. And then when they're building muscle, they'll build like a couple pounds a year, a few pounds of muscle a year. It's really hard to build muscle. What I did was I went down to like almost 200 pounds from 536 or probably 550, right? Down to almost 200 pounds. Man. Was fucking no muscle mass up top and hated it. and was like, I don't know who I am. This doesn't feel like me. I'm not comfortable. Like a light breeze could blow me over. I've always been a big guy. I like being a big guy.
You felt weak?
I felt weak. And I was killing myself with cardio, like almost 8 hours a day. Damn. I mean, me and Retta would ride our bikes from the valley, over the hill, out to the beach, up PCH, do some canyons, ride back, hard, 120 miles. We would ride our bikes every day like that, you know? And for a couple of years I did that.
How fast did that weight come off?
It came off relatively quick, but I was like doing stupid stuff. I was like not eating nearly enough and just doing an insane. It was
doing it wrong.
It was not sustainable at all. So then when I made a decision, like I'm going to gain weight, but I went crazy and went back up to 400 pounds.
Wow.
And I was doing a TV show called Chance in San Francisco, which was actually one of my favorite jobs I've ever had. I played a total badass. It was so much fun. About 400 pounds. And I tore my bicep in a fight scene. And I had to have an operation on my bicep. And when they told my wife he has to go, like normally they do this like in an outpatient place.
Yeah.
You have to be put out, but like you get the operation and it's like you're not in a hospital. And they weighed me and they were like, oh no, you're so heavy that you have to go into a hospital because we have to have like extra life support for you in this. And my wife was like, what the fuck? We were done with this. I'm not cool with this. Like, you know, you
lost it and gained it back.
Yeah, but I decided to gain it back because I wasn't happy being thin.
Okay.
And she said, like, I was totally supported you losing weight. I never gave you a hard time about your weight. I totally supported you when you said you were going to gain weight. I said, fine, go do what you want to do. But like, you got to get to the point where you don't have to go have an outpatient procedure in a hospital. Like that was her cutoff, right?
That's scary.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lose weight in a fashion where I still retain my muscle. Cause I was lifting weights all the time but I was eating everything in sight, pizzas and all this crazy shit I had not
Diet's
eaten
a big part of.
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah.
And so I started doing keto again. I got down to like, lost probably 60, 70 pounds. And I just I felt like I was losing muscle mass. And I was like, this is annoying because I'd read all this stuff about bodybuilders doing keto and like all these like super fitness guys doing keto and retaining muscle mass. And I was losing muscle mass. And when I would check it, I would go and get these scans that check your fat, your lean tissue, and your bone density. And I found that for like every 10 pounds of weight that I would lose, 4 to 5 of those were muscle mass. I was like, I got to stop this. So I totally changed my diet, increased my protein, increased my carbohydrates, felt stronger in the gym. And now every bit of weight that I lose is only fat. And I'm much happier.
Yeah. So now you're totally in tune with your body.
Yeah.
You know, everything you eat every day, like.
Yeah. And by the way, there are bodybuilders who are vegan. Kai Green is vegan, and he's fucking gigantic, dude. That dude is huge. So you can do it. You probably do have to increase your protein a little bit, but that's totally easy.
I'm gonna get tips for you from that. When did My Name Is Earl start?
My Name Is Earl was 2005. We started doing that. Yeah.
So that is that a game changer for you?
It's weird because up until My Name Is Earl, I was doing movies and I was happily doing movies.
Yeah.
I would leave for long stretches every year, which was kind of hard on my family at that point.
Where was that filmed?
My Name Is Earl was here. But like the year before My Name Is Earl, I was in like New Zealand for 6 months. And then the year before that, I was in Montreal for a long time. And you know, 2002, I was in Romania for 7 months, like all these places. And so My Name Is Earl, my wife was pregnant at the time, and doing My Name Is Earl here was this amazing thing where I was like a normal person. Again, I use the word normal. It's the worst fucking word. It's a terrible word. I hate to pin normalcy on anyone, right? I don't want anybody to be normal. We're all whatever. But like the idea of like being able to like come home and see my kids every night and spend time with them on the weekends and not have to be on a flight or something was awesome. So that was a game changer in that sense. But I haven't done as many movies since then.
Since you won that show.
Since My Name Is Earl, yeah.
But getting a show like that that's so popular, I'm not saying it's a dream or was a goal of yours when it gets in syndication and it has so many seasons and it's a really big show.
Yeah.
Great cast, great everything. Jason's on there, skateboarder.
Yeah. And we got Giovanni Retta.
That's right.
He was on there. Yeah. He played a bartender.
But that was fun doing that show, though?
Amazing. It was amazing.
But when you do a show like that, I mean, I'm not sure how it works in the music industry. You put a record out, you get royalties, stuff like that. And then if it gets put on like a soundtrack to a movie or something, then you get publishing. Not about money. I'm saying about My Name Is Earl, when it goes into syndication, that's good for an actor, right?
For sure.
Getting replayed all the time.
And for sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's insane. As far as like money goes, that was a true game changer. It was much more money than I was accustomed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's cool, like just to have TV, because you were doing TV in between because you started out in TV, then you went to movies, you were doing stuff in between, right?
Yeah. And now I think TV's cooler even than movies. Like there was a period after My Name Is Earl where I was back to like wanting to do movies again.
Yeah.
And they still make some good movies, but I don't think they make as many good movies, or I'm not in as many good movies. But the TV I've done...
Santa Clarita Diet.
Santa Clarita Diet's awesome.
Was great, man.
Yeah, that was really fun. And then the show I did, Chance, with Hugh Laurie, that's like to this day my favorite part I've ever had.
You love it.
I love it.
I'm looking into that one. I want to see that one. And you Clerks 2, obviously.
Yeah.
Brothers was amazing.
Brothers was a great movie. I love
that movie, man.
Yeah, we shot that during My Name Is Earl. Yeah, that was a good movie.
It was a really good movie, man.
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street.
An amazing movie.
Bro.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
It seems like we also have your friendships with some of these actors, so it seems like I love when I see your movies with them.
Yeah.
Like reoccurring stuff with Toby and stuff like that.
Yeah, it makes it good. Yeah, doing Brothers with Toby and Wolf of Wall Street. It's a lot of this stuff is also like first day of school where you don't know anybody. And then you wind up like having worked with some of the people on something years ago, but like doing something with somebody you're close with, it's really meaningful.
It makes it easier too if it was
Yeah.
So traveling while you're trying to lose weight and stay sober, that must be hard too. It's just like being an artist, musician, touring and being a vegan or trying to eat.
Yeah, I think,
You got catering though.
I haven't eaten catering in years, dude. I take my own food to work.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and if I go to when I go to location now, like I worked a lot in Louisiana last year. I was in Louisiana a lot last year, and the first thing I did, like when I got there, was find a grocery store, find some food.
Was that for The Hunt?
I did 2 movies there I did The Hunt and another one called Gossamer Folds, which isn't out yet.
I love The Hunt too. It was great.
Hunt was awesome.
Fucking so good.
Yeah, but like in the beginning of sobriety, I would find a meeting and like hit a meeting as like in a new town. You can find a meeting anywhere on earth, and and now I don't even really do that so much. I think that there are definitely pitfalls to traveling for stuff like sobriety and dieting, for sure. It makes it more complicated, but like if I get on a plane now, I got a bag of food with me that I made at my house, and I got a plan for wherever I'm going. We have Google.
Searched it out,
There's no question that I have.
So easy, dude.
I mean, I've literally landed in New York and like ordered Instacart from the airport, still sitting on the airplane, so that it gets to my hotel with some groceries. We
have Happy Cow for vegans.
Okay,
so it tells you everywhere you go in any country, any state, any city. All the spots are.
Yeah, awesome, I mean, I got to imagine as a vegan that wasn't so easy.
So hard, dude.
20 years ago,
like 89, 90, or going to Europe.
Yeah.
It was so just falafels or like just pasta or pizza with no cheese.
Yeah.
It was hard, man.
Yeah. And then
sacrifice.
Like, let's be honest, a lot of the pizza in Europe sucks. It's just not good. We mastered pizza. I'm sorry
to all my European friends. Yeah, that's true. There's some good, Italy has some good pizza.
Yes. But pizza in France, pizza in France is not great.
No, man. And it's hard, like, back then it's like, you mean, okay, here's some lettuce.
Right.
Here's some piece of bread. Like,
right.
You eat a lot of carbs, man.
Yeah.
It's easy to become a junk food vegan for sure.
Yeah. I mean, the only times I've even flirted with it, I'm thinking about like a veggie grill, and I'm going like, fuck, if I could just eat that, I'm vegan, no problem. But you can't eat that for 3 meals a day or even more. Like it's not healthy.
But it's good though.
It's delicious.
Another movie you did, I fucking love it. If I mentioned Motherless Brooklyn.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Wow, man. I thought it came in the theaters. Was it right before the corona? I don't even know when. It seemed like it came out.
It came out
in small independent theaters, maybe.
Yeah.
I wanted to see it so bad, and I waited and I saw it. It was so good, man.
Yeah. The wild thing was the first day of shooting was exactly 20 years after American History X came out.
That's right. Yeah.
I couldn't believe that.
Did a movie with him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that cool? Like to hang again and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a smart dude too.
Yeah.
I heard him on one of my friends' podcasts, Rich Roll's podcast. So yeah, Motherless Brooklyn, The Hunt. The Hunt was so good. But yeah, My Name Is Earl. Entourage too.
Yeah.
That was another one.
Yep, I did a couple episodes of Entourage. I'm good friends with Kevin Connolly, and there was actually I played myself twice on Entourage, and then they had this role written for a proper character, like a filmmaker character, and they asked me to do it, and I was like, that'd be so wild that I'll be in Entourage like twice as myself and as this other character. That'd be so fun. And then NBC wouldn't let me do it.
Oh, because
of My Name Is Earl, which sucked, but I
contractually obligated.
Yeah.
Wow. How many years was you in there? Like 4 years? My Name Is Earl.
It was really like 5, but there was a big strike that disrupted it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Jason Lee's a good skateboarder, huh?
Oh man, he's so good.
Sick, right?
Yeah, the Blind video back in the 90s,
right.
He's so good.
Did you skate back then?
No.
You never skated?
I stood on a skateboard once or twice and fell off it and was like, this is not for me.
But we talked about like surfing. You tried twice.
Surfing, I tried. Surfing, I think I could get into.
Good exercise too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm scared of some of the local scenes. I don't want to get beat up in the water.
About that with my son before this, like
Max is like
these different beaches where there's like locals only type thing.
Max has put me off it. I don't need to rumble with some young kids out over like the Huntington Beach break or whatever
it's like
it is.
Point Break movie. What's it called? Point Break. Yeah.
Point Break. Yeah.
Yeah, we just watched it recently. It's such a good movie. Max never saw it. I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about going back to college during any of that time or?
No, and I never.
GED?
I got my GED, which is a kind of a ridiculous test that I think any 8th grader could probably pass.
But stay in school, kids, because it's not that easy now. But yeah,
maybe not.
It might not be.
It was kind of absurdly easy when I took it. It was a long time ago, but I never went back to school. I've done a number of like
online
courses in philosophy. I like Michel Foucault a lot as a, I think there's a weird, I like postmodernism. I like the idea of moral relativism. I don't like so much the kind of Marxist bent that's being put on it in schools today, which from what I've read has nothing to do with it at all. Like, I feel like a lot of these people want to trade one set of arbitrary rules for another set of arbitrary rules rather than recognizing that these are just arbitrary rules and we should just get rid of the rules. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of my feeling on it. But yeah, I've not done school proper, and I've taken some writing college classes in writing and philosophy. Yeah, but not, look, the way it's set up for my kids, which I think is a magical gift to them that I hope they recognize, and I keep telling them that it's a magical gift, is they're no longer utterly irresponsible insofar as they were as children living with us and going to, elementary, middle, high school, junior high, that kind of thing, where they have no responsibilities ultimately, maybe do the dishes, clean up your room, whatever it is. Yeah. This kind of middle ground of you're partially responsible now at school, but not totally an adult yet. And that's not even true for all. Many people are existing as adults while going to school, figuring it all out for themselves. But this kind of magical moment in between real life and life under the yoke of parentage seems so awesome to me. It's like, seems romantic. Maybe it would get old and I would not want to do it too. But it seems like, 4 years of, pursuing education that I'm interested in and not having to worry about like paying for my, and the way I think the structure of college loans is completely crazy to me, and that we could saddle kids with debt like that. And when I take a real deep dive, I go like, there's no one negotiating the cost of school. And so when you have a guarantee that everybody will get a loan, but nobody's negotiating the cost of schooling, then the school can charge whatever they want. And if you look at the inflation rate of higher education, it's gone up at like something 30 times the rate of inflation, because the government has said like everybody's guaranteed a loan and you schools can charge whatever you want. And so now you have kids with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. That's certainly, so do I.
Follows your whole life.
Yeah,
too.
That is not ideal. That's crazy. So I don't know. If somebody said to me like you could take 4 years off, study whatever you want, I would think of that. Really, that would be a fun time.
Do that. Yeah. Is it hard for you? Was it hard balancing? You have such a big family, balancing family and work and traveling and all that, and being a dad, being present, and doing movies and going away. Yeah. Were you able to bring your kids and stuff with you sometimes on the set or visit you?
In 2002, my wife came out. She wasn't my wife yet, and to Romania.
Oh wow.
And we were gonna like figure out having the kids come out there and stuff, and she hated it, and she was like, I'm not doing this. You have to come back. I don't like it here. I want to go home.
Yeah.
And so I wound up coming back like 11 times.
Wow.
And that's like 3 gnarly flights to get from where I was to Los Angeles.
That's brutal.
Yeah, and then New Zealand, her and the kids came out, and that was 2003 or 4. And then now when I travel, I just come home a lot.
Yeah.
So
you have 3 kids, right?
4.
4 kids.
4 girls, yeah.
Wow, man. 4 girls.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
I should have tried for a second one, man, because it would have been cool to have a boy and a girl, but my wife made me get my tubes tied. So.
Yeah, my wife has threatened me with that.
No, my tubes tied, whatever.
It's a version of that, right? Yeah.
The guy's name's Dr. Sachs, by the way.
Dr. Sex?
Sachs,
close enough.
He's had a bunch of my friends so far.
Right. I'm not doing that. I'm scared of that. Yeah, but I'm also not having any more kids. 4 is enough.
It's not painful. It's just you're numb, but it's the sound of it. It's like a pop. Oof. And this probably never happened to anybody on the planet who ever had this done. My wife was in the room. The doctor asked me why she was there. I go, she's my wife. She was filming me, laughing at me. When they saw her, there's smoke coming up.
Oh my God!
And she was laughing and pointing at me the whole time. It was a fucking surreal moment. Thanks, Moon. But she had to be in the room. She had to like document. And I came home and I had the tubes in a container. I gave them to my son. I said,
"This was part of."
Yeah, you don't want any brothers and sisters. This is the deal.
These were used to create you.
Yeah. American Glutton. So how much weight have you lost up until this?
Well, I went from it's close to 300 pounds.
Wow, man.
Yeah, and if you count the weight that I gained and then lost for a second and third time in some instances, I don't have a real figure, but
it's a lot, man.
From my heaviest to now is close to 300 pounds.
And you're happy with your weight now? Are you happy with your body now? Or is it a constant struggle every
day? No, I mean, look, I showed you that picture of me with my shirt off. You can see my abs, but I want to get them even more defined. I want you to see the veins bulging in my stomach. Now, that is not something that I'll maintain for very long. The weight I am now is like my maintenance weight. But if I drop down to like 253, 252, and I'm just like almost no fat on my body, get a nice picture of that lubed up in baby oil with the right lighting, right? Like a Playboy cover, Playgirl cover shot.
That's a goal. That's a real goal.
And that's what I do now. And so I'm going to do, versions of, I do maintenance periods for months at a time where I'm neither gaining nor losing weight. And then I drop it down, and then I haven't yet done a muscle building phase that didn't involve gaining a lot of weight, because a lot of times when you're gaining weight, you're gaining fat and muscle, and then you want to just lose the fat.
Yeah.
And it's like this tricky kind of scientific equation to do that. I haven't done the version of lean massing where you're putting on muscle with as little fat as possible, but after I get this photograph of myself that's like a Playgirl cover photo.
I can't wait.
I can't wait to either. It's going to be awesome. Like where you got water dripping off you and all that shit, but it's really baby oil.
Thong, though, maybe like your bodybuilder thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Something like that.
That's a goal to have. I mean, you're 44?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. So the podcast, I was the first vegan on there 2 days ago. The podcast is going good. You got a lot of episodes. I realize I've been doing this. I'm on my 70. This is my 74th. You're like on 50 or something already?
Something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
When did you start doing that?
We started in like right around Thanksgiving, but we didn't start releasing them until January.
Okay.
So we were
stacking them up.
We were like backlogged. Even today we're a couple weeks like yours, the one we did will come out in a couple of weeks, and just to have that cushion,
I do too. I'm sitting on a bunch as well, but I like to once in a while throw one out.
Yeah.
Like this to people will be like, wow, this is different from other guests,
Yeah.
I like doing that. So obviously the inspiration for the podcast is your journey of everything you've been through, right?
Yeah. I wanted to share it. Look, when I got down to my lightest, I didn't want to talk about it. And there were even like some paparazzi took pictures of me and said some nasty things about like how I didn't look great, which I can't even disagree with them. But
does that shit bother you?
It did. I don't think it would now. Like now I've been called fat a number of times, and I'm like, if you think I'm fat, then that's on you. I can't do anything about that, But also I think that there's a heavy emphasis put on health, and I'm not knocking health. I am interested in health.
Yeah.
But I didn't really care about health when I started losing weight. That was like maybe my 10th most important reason.
Was it image?
It was like constant discomfort, and that's both mental and physical discomfort. But like literal discomfort in like my feet hurt and my knees, and I would get winded walking up a couple of stairs, and I didn't like people to hear me breathe, because I remember being a kid and some other kid said like, wow, you breathe loud. And so I would naturally like hold my breath around people, or like you get in an elevator and I would hold my breath so that nobody, or breathe really slowly.
Kids are evil, man.
I think it's accidental, but there's a ton of stuff where, the people I respect the most in the industry of like health and weight loss and fitness and stuff are almost entirely focused on health. And I go, at the end of the day, I don't know that you're going to necessarily sell everybody on health. Mm-hmm. And also I think like in this day and age where you have professional video game players, health becomes somewhat subjective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're not chopping wood to build a fire to warm our house. I mean, somebody is somewhere, but you and I aren't.
Shout out to
that.
them, though.
Yeah, for sure. I respect that. Like that
awesome.
To me also sounds like a cool thing to do. I don't do that.
Yeah.
So I don't need to do that. So at what point do I go like every choice I make is not being dictated by health? Some degree of it is. It's in there somewhere, but it's not in absolute terms. And when you get these like health and fitness people who are always about health, I'm like, I don't know that communicates necessarily to everyone, because you were missing me when I needed, when that message most applied to me, it wasn't impinging at all. It was like right over my head. And just, you know, I just, from the perspective of like people who lost weight that I even respected, I wasn't hearing words that I needed to hear. And so I just want to be a voice for like people who have had failures doing this, and to offer motivation. I'm not prescriptive at all. Like, I don't think everybody needs to lose weight. I don't, I love Lizzo. Like, Lizzo to me has the exact right mental fortitude to exist in this day and age, and fuck everything else.
Yeah, she's amazing.
You know what I mean? But I also really admire Adele, who lost a bunch of weight.
Yeah,
she decided to. She lost weight. She's happy with herself.
Both.
Yeah, and
she looked great before and great after.
Exactly.
Makes you happy.
Yeah. When I see a little girl,
this was vegan, by the way.
Fucking more power to her.
I know it to the other day. I didn't know that. It's cool.
So there is some probably health thought process to how she's consuming food, which even so, I want to tell people, shut the fuck up talking about Lizzo. Lizzo is a badass.
She's a badass.
I see a little girl today wearing a midriff shirt with a gut, and I'm happy for that little girl because she has a positive self-image.
I love that too.
I was the kid
comfortable in their own skin, man.
Yeah, I was the kid who would wear a jacket on a hot day because I wanted to cover myself up because I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. I'm still not totally comfortable in my own skin. I wouldn't put that connotation on anyone else. That is all my responsibility to change. I don't need the point of view of the world to change. I think it's within me to decide how I feel about myself. Yeah. It's nobody else. But I also know that there have been times in my life where I felt like something was impossible, and then I've looked at the example somebody else has set and been inspired. And so if I can do that, I also think it's going to help keep me accountable to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you did that for me. You're not even trying. You really did. Like, I'm really going to try to like get in better shape because you inspire me. It's amazing, man. Yeah. We're gonna say after that. I can go the podcast. So, most of your guests are people from weight loss or no? Because I'm not. But like,
no, I want to listen. Honestly, I want to hear everybody's story. I want to talk about food with everyone. Yeah. Because I think, you know, and I've had people on who I don't totally agree with. Yeah. And I'm open to it because I have gathered information from many sources, and I think that for me the best angle to take is to know as much as I can from all information from as many perspectives as possible, and make my decisions accordingly, and then figure out what's right for me. Yeah. You know what I mean? But for a long time I was just like, you know, the blood type, eat right for your blood type is the only diet that really works. So I'm just going to do that. And then
you've tried all different ones.
Everything. And then keto was the only diet that works. And we're all allergic to gluten. Everybody is. And that's bullshit, man. At the end of the day, go look at the Italians. They eat pasta, you know, all the time. They don't seem to be allergic to it. You know, they're not all obese. Yeah. And so I just go like, you got to figure out what's right for you. If you want to lose fat, you got to be in a caloric deficit, but that doesn't mean you have to count calories. Okay. And that doesn't mean you have to like sit and do a bunch of math, but that is kind of the function of thermogenesis. Whether we want to put the value on that or not, that's how burning energy works. Yeah. You know,
would you like off air, would you be able to give me like something for a vegan who wants to burn and trim up?
For sure.
You would know?
Yeah.
That stuff?
Yeah.
Do you think losing the weight's affected you as an actor? Like, because you've been known as being the big guy? Yeah. Were you getting roles as the big guy for... I mean, your acting's incredible. It doesn't matter how you looked. But has that changed since you lost weight, you think?
For sure it has.
Or you think it really hasn't, but mentally you think it has?
No. Okay. I think it really has, and I'm okay with that. I don't think I was okay with that when I was uncomfortable with my weight, when I got so thin that I couldn't really recognize myself.
Me either. When I first saw it, I was bugged out, man.
Yeah,
and starting that tight bicycle thing.
Yeah, and I was properly thin, and I would like look in the mirror and be like, I don't like this, and it affected my work. And then I decided to gain weight, and I gained a bunch of weight, and I did my favorite job ever. And then my wife was like, "You got to lose weight again," and I lost weight, and you know, and then quarantine happens, and nobody's working right now, and so I don't know. But like, I'm okay with that too. I was a working actor for, 30 years almost, and so
amazing career, man.
Yeah, I'm happy with my career. I wouldn't gain weight again. I'm very happy with my weight.
Boy Meets World was your first job, and that's the only job. It's your first job, and then here we are now. It's a really amazing career, man.
Yeah,
it's really amazing. Do you have any regrets? I mean,
I sometimes wish I'd gone to college, but then I wouldn't trade anything for now. I wish I'd discovered the way I eat right now, and I have for a long time. I'm very happy with it.
Awesome.
I feel great. Even when I'm cutting fat, I feel great. I have energy in the gym. I'm happy with my body. I wish I'd discovered that a little earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still young though, man. You look young too.
I have no regrets.
Yeah. No regrets.
No.
You think you ever be 100% happy with your body? Or is it a constant battle mentally and physically every day? Like you obsess on like not OCD, but
I think that, and again, I think it becomes tricky with children. And as a kid, when I was 5, I had no attention on my body at all.
Okay.
And my grandparents freaked out, and I went to visit them one year, and they would make me weigh every day, and then they would put me on a diet and make me exercise. Wow,
that's so much pressure at a young kid, man.
5 years old, and
that's got a fucking mental. That's fucking crazy, man.
Well, starting there, I started to sneak food because they were withholding food from me, so I would sneak it. Now,
and you're also a kid.
Yeah,
and kids are supposed to live and eat foods, and be a kid.
And I was definitely probably overweight. But I wasn't obese at 5. I was chubby, and not even like, honestly, if I look at pictures of myself right now from when I was 5, I don't even see a chubby kid. I really don't.
We're all chubby as kids, man.
Yeah. So, I feel like I spent a long time really creating unhealthy habits with my body. And so I don't know if I'm ever going to be comfortable. I know that I can be. I know that all I have to do is decide to be, and I will be. I haven't decided to be yet. I'm still kind of working shit out,
Yeah. It's interesting to think if they didn't take that stuff away from you, what would have happened because once you take it away, it makes you really want it more and have to sneak it. But if they didn't do that, maybe you just would have been a chubby kid who just grew out of it and just, who knows?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I already know the answer to this question, but are you an optimist or pessimist? You talked about PMA. You listen to PMA by Bad Brains in the gym.
Yeah.
So you're a positive person.
I'm a positive person. I can get dark,
Me too.
Yeah. I think but I always know in the back of my head that if I go outside and I look around, that optimism will win.
Yeah, we talked about this in your podcast. It was cool that you listen to the Bad Brains. They get you pumped and that song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially now, we have to be even for our kids too.
Yeah.
In the household.
Yeah, so I mean, going through this recent bout of civil upheaval, my kids were freaking out.
I'm sure.
And there was one day I sat down with them, and they were like, "No, this is the worst thing that's ever happened." And I was like, "Look, this is really like you're in no danger. This is like, if you think about what 1992, 3,000 structural fires, like 60 people were murdered. That was
you were here then too.
I was here. That was bad."
Did you watch that doc, LA 92?
No.
It just came out.
Is it great?
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that was bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just tell my kids, like, no, some bad shit happened. People are upset. They're out there saying we're upset.
Yeah.
Like, good.
Yeah.
That's it. This is not a scary thing, you know.
But from going from lockdown, being taken out of school, can't see your friends, And then
they're just on their phones all the time and computers.
Then riots, and then everything shuts down, restaurants.
Yeah.
Like, for the mental of a kid, I can't even imagine, like, what that feels like.
Yeah, right I try to tell my youngest kids, like, it's going to be okay. You know? Yeah. It is. And I believe that. I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, I think we're going to come out of this stronger, I would hope. That's the positive where we're thinking. We're going to come out of this stronger, you know, more united.
Yeah, and then some nights I go to bed going, like, we got to go escape and live in the woods, you know, and like, do we have enough white rice and diesel fuel to get us there? And we'll build a house and just be by ourselves.
I do think about that sometimes, like selling this house and then going somewhere to a small town, like it's chopping wood.
Me too.
It sounds amazing, but would we really like it? Because we're like city people.
Yeah.
Right? We're city slickers. It sounds amazing for like a week or two during this, but then, I don't know. I love the energy of a city. And
yeah. I know. I think of this quote, and it's from some book I read, some philosophical book, where the guy just says, chop wood, carry water. And like, you just do that. And as long as you do that, everything's going to be okay. Chop wood, carry water. And so I think about that. And then I think, if I was literally doing that, maybe it would be really great. You know, like if I had to go to the stream and carry water back.
Sick workout too,
and chop. Yeah, exactly. And like, I think much of the problem today, for me at least, comes from a point of having too much free time and not having to work hard. And all of my traps have been like, I have access to fast food. I have access to sitting around and not having something to do.
Yeah.
And you know, idle hands are the devil's playground. That is just true for me. If I don't have enough to do, I can get myself in trouble. So I got to give myself stuff to do. Yeah.
Did you get like lazy or during this lockdown?
I had
snap out of it and shit. Netflix.
I had some rough days, but I never missed a workout. I would do workouts at my house. I would go on walks, get my kids out of the house, go get some vitamin D. You know.
Yeah. So daily rituals for you is basically working out every day.
Yeah, working out every day.
You drink coffee?
Yeah.
So one coffee in the morning?
I drink one coffee in the morning, yeah. And it usually lasts me until like early afternoon. Yeah.
I've been on and off. Like I'm sure people listening, like I talk about, I started coffee last December for the first time, really every day for a month. I didn't really, it's the first drug I've ever done.
Yeah.
So we're going to get to that. But I took coffee every single day and it give me so much energy. I felt so like alive. But then I get like super jittery, dehydrated, take a shit, gonna take a nap. It really fucked me up.
Yeah.
But there's something about drinking a coffee. I feel like an adult. My son drinks coffee every day, and I feel like I know people have it every single day. It makes them regular, all that stuff.
Yeah.
One a day, that's it.
That's it.
You're a big dude for one cup.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't even always finish it. Wow. I put it in one of those Yeti thermos cups so it stays hot, and honestly stays hot for hours and hours. And I just sip it almost medicinally.
Black coffee only?
No, I put like a tablespoon, a half and half.
Is coffee good for us, healthy, as far as your metabolism and burning stuff?
Apparently, but I don't know. It's also a diuretic, so it could be dehydrating us. I mean, I don't
pound water when you drink it.
Yeah, I think like anything else, if we're doing the shit in moderation, it's fine. You know, I think pretty much any drug done in moderation, you know, you're not going to kill yourself. But you know, there are people who probably overdo coffee, and coffee just never, I feel more alert. And then once I get that feeling, any excess of it, I don't feel good, you know? And so I'm never looking to like cocaine. You just keep feeling great, you know?
But don't you feel, so when you do cocaine, isn't the next morning like you feel down though?
Yeah, the next morning. But you know, the greatest remedy to that is more cocaine.
Yeah. Would that be the funnest drug you've ever done? If you had to say a fun one.
Cocaine, yeah, fun. I mean, ecstasy's fun.
Oh shit!
Yeah, all those drugs are fun.
Yeah,
yeah. But then you like, it's more fun than real life. So why ever be in real life anymore? That was kind of my perspective. I was just like, this is way better than like the misery I'm in without this. I'm just going to do this.
Yeah. Well, one thing we talked about, I wanted to say one thing because I should have sent you a podcast about straight edge. Some people like I read you the lyrics the other day, don't smoke, don't drink, don't fuck, at least you can't fucking think. For some people, it wasn't promiscuous sex. For some people, it was just drugs, no alcohol. That's me, no whatever. And some people even say that, coffee's a drug or caffeine's a drug. Sure. So there's some people that are extremely straight edge or don't do any caffeine.
Yeah.
That's been like argument for years if like green tea with caffeine is a drug or...
Yeah.
I do feel like I didn't try anything my whole life. When I started drinking coffee, I did feel different. Not like I didn't have control of my body, but I did feel more hyper and more like this kind of high from me,
You gave up sobriety, man. That's crazy. No,
I sold out straight edge for coffee.
Kidding.
But some people think that, you can't have caffeine. So what that song became that was just a personal song, just like straight edge is my personal choice, it became other things for other people. Like it took from that song other ways.
Dude, I remember the faction like of militant straight edge when I was a kid. Man. And it was like
intense,
practically Bible thumping of like, this is the way it is, and like you don't mess around.
There was a militant side of it too.
Yeah,
and there was a militant side, there was a stricter side, then there was a veganism side too.
Yeah, anything can. I mean, like, at the end of the day, I think straight edge is a super positive message, but it's like an individual way to figure it out. Yes. You know what I mean?
For me, it was always something positive, something I got from this band, something that I already was, and I had a title or a name for it, and I just stuck with it my whole life. It wasn't anything more than like no drinking, no drugs. And, and to be honest, and I've said on the podcast before, I've only been with 5 women my whole entire life, and I've been married for almost half my life. I was never a player. I was never like going after girls. Like I said, I love my skateboard. And then veganism, I want to say that, mention on your podcast as well, that for me, veganism is only for the animals. So like all the stuff I've been through, like eating fucking dry ass Boca burgers and falafels, everything, it was a sacrifice for the animals because I didn't want to eat things with eyes, with, you know what I mean? I just didn't want to eat animals. So everything I've done for veganism is only for the animals. My sacrifice. It's not about me. I'm a vegan. I'm the best vegan. I'm the coolest vegan. It's nothing like that for me. It's just for the animals, Yeah. And I feel like
no, I respect that, and I do think culturally we get very, very weird about like what is cuddly and meant for hanging out with, and what is food. And
we talked about that, dogs versus cows. And
it does become a thing where I'm just and then we're critical of the way they eat in China and the wet markets, and I'm like, well, that. How are we better? I don't know. And I understand if there's an argument that there's diseases being born out of the wet markets, but as far as I can tell, they don't know where the hell this came from, if it's a laboratory or if it's a wet market or what. And I'm sure somebody could say like, well, there is absolute scientific proof that there are diseases coming out of wet markets. And I go, okay, is that the only place diseases are coming out of? Because we've got plenty of diseases. And I just think that to make some kind of like arbitrary cultural adjudication that one cuddly thing is cuddly, but another cuddly thing. I mean, this is a subjective point of view. A little baby cow doesn't look sweet and nice to you. Like it's not something you want to pet, or a little baby pig. Yeah. That's not a friendly looking thing.
Yeah. But it's what almost we've been programmed to think. Like we said in your thing, like milk does the body good. Drink your milk, get rid of. You're drinking. Would you drink? Would we feed? Would you drink? How would I say it? The opposite. We're drinking a cow's milk. Would we feed human milk to a cow?
You know
what I'm saying? Like, but that's the stuff we're supposed to have. It's good for your bones and all that stuff.
Yeah. And no, my wife has been utterly anti-milk, and again, I'm not vegan, and like if I wasn't dieting and you put a cheese plate down in front of me, I would eat the shit out of the cheese. I don't eat cheese now because it's high in fat, but we've never really done cow's milk at our house. It's always been like, and they're into there's so many options now.
Oat milk, rice milk, almond milk,
all the
milk.
Different nuts, macadamia nuts, and walnut milk. I think I've even seen. It's crazy how many nuts can make a milk.
There's so many alternatives now.
Yeah,
there's an option for everybody.
Oh, coconut cream they put in their coffee, which is apparently delicious.
I heard it's really good.
Yeah,
oat milk's good too. That's like all the rage.
Yeah.
Would you have any top 5 artists? It could be an actor or musician or band. Any top 5 inspirations? Do you have any? Are you a hip hop head?
Well, I will say that the Run the Jewels album,
sick.
It's unbelievable.
And the new song,
my
video
God,
with Greg Nice.
It's unbelievable.
Ooh, yeah, it's great, man.
It's unreal.
Shout out to Killer Mike.
Yeah,
amazing.
My kids call it boomer rap. And I'm like, that's fucking awful. I don't think any of them are boomers.
No.
And I'm actually technically not a boomer, but I did. My youngest did once call my oldest a boomer, which I thought was pretty great. and my oldest is a millennial. So,
but coming to your studio, I heard like Tribe Called Quest in there the other day.
Yeah.
Like they play old like 90s.
Yeah.
Such a great time, hip hop.
The 90s was the best. Dude, that first Wu-Tang Clan album was insane. And Biggie, I loved Biggie. And yeah.
That's your New York roots.
Yeah.
Under 1 year old.
I mean, listen, I was out here in those years, but I always preferred East Coast hip hop, like Smith and Wesson, Poor Righteous Teachers, like all those guys.
Poor Righteous Teachers was amazing.
Yeah. Although I did like the Far Side a lot. They were great. West Coast, I think.
How about like Brand Nubian or Black Moon?
Awesome.
De La Soul, Jungle Brothers, Gangstar.
Yeah. I don't honestly listen to a lot of music right now.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you listen to?
I listen to books on tape.
Okay.
Yeah, that's almost all that I listen to right now.
Do you have one major inspiration in your life? A person, a musician, or I don't know, author?
I quite commonly go back to a Samuel Beckett quote, and he said, "Ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail better." And that quote, like I think about that quote almost every day.
That's great.
Yeah.
That'd be a sick tattoo, actually.
Yeah.
Do you have any tattoos?
I have some. I got them all when I was young, and none of them are good.
They're all pretty bad?
Shitty tattoos or cover-ups, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You ever been tattooed for years?
I haven't been tattooed for years, no. God.
Do kids have any tattoos?
The older kids have hearts on a finger.
That's cool.
And that's it, yeah. And then the 15-year-old keeps threatening to show up with tattoos, and I'm like, I don't know how you're going to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, he asked for that too. Max is like, they're doing hand poke tattoos in the class at school.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, look at me. I get you any tattoo appointment you want with any artist you want in the
don't
world.
do that.
Please don't do that.
Yeah.
You have one more year and you're 18. Like, but all the people are doing it now. It's crazy,
no, I had that too. I gave myself a
You
tattoo.
did hand poked?
Yeah. And then I got it covered up, and then I got it lasered off, and then it's just fucking awful.
Dude, lasering sucks.
It's the worst. It's so much worse than getting a tattoo. Like my kids are like, it's just as bad as getting a tattoo. No, it's not.
Yeah, it depends how big it is too, but it's pretty fast. But it's just
and you got to do it like 20 times.
I know. I made an appointment with Rap to go get something done for him. We went there. I went before, and they told me what it was going to have to be like, and we finally went there, and we sat down, and it was his turn to go. And they're like, okay. He's like, you can do this right now, right? They're like, no, sir. He's like, I want the whole thing off right now. They're like, you have to come back. He goes, you expect me to come back here over and over again? And he's like, Toby, I'm out of here. And like he just walked out of the room. I was in there by myself. I was like, you can't laser in one shot.
No,
he didn't understand the process.
Yeah. And by the way, they can't even tell you how many treatments it's going to take.
They can't.
They're like, maybe 10 treatments. And then.
So I never told Rap this, but after I'd been back there after that because I got some. I apologized. I said sorry. He didn't know how it was supposed to go, but because I wanted to go back and get mine anyway. You know, but he kind of left me, put me on blast, and left me in the room by myself.
That sounds like him.
It's such a maniac, man. All right, I think we covered a lot of stuff. Right, I'm really stoked.
Yeah,
this is so awesome. I'm honored to be on your podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me on yours.
So it's basically part 1, part 2, whatever. With both our podcasts. But yeah, Santa Clarita Diet is freaking amazing, man. That's a great one, dude. Yeah. I'm stoked you listen to Bad Brains at the gym. I'm happy for everything you're doing in your life and your marriage and your family. Yeah. I've known you for a very long time, man. Yeah. And I want you to come out of hardcore retirement when my band plays.
I can't wait, dude.
After this lockdown.
You know, the last time I was inspired to like get into a crowd, I think was randomly. You know, we went, my sister-in-law, Juliet, who I think was with your brother at the time.
The Licks.
Yeah, in Austin for South by Southwest, and they were playing this bar, and they played, and they're clearing out, and I don't know why I stayed for the next band, because I'm like not super comfortable around crowds, and hadn't been to shows in 20 years at that point. Damn. Yeah, but I was like, I'll just see what this next band is. And it was this band, The Gallows.
Great.
Dude, I've never been more excited to be at a show than I was seeing. And fucking Frank Carter comes off the stage. He's in the fucking pit.
Great front man.
holy shit.
Shout out to Frank. Yeah, that's awesome.
And then the next time I felt that feeling was reading a post of yours on Instagram. I was reading it and I was like, yes, I know what this feels like. I want this too. I want to be there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, shout out to the Gallows, great band. Also, Juliet Lewis and Licks, my brother Toby Morse. It was great, but she's a great front.
Yeah, she kills it.
She's front woman.
Yeah,
kills it, man. Like just
it's
such a great band.
A lot of energy. I'm always impressed with the energy you guys have.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I can't wait to play music one day, whenever that's going to be. And
one day.
I just trying to think about it, just go on with my day and live day to day.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I know it is.
Well, you'll be at the next LA show.
Yeah, for sure.
So American Glutton, check out his podcast. I'll tag that and everything too. And yeah, man, thanks for your time. This is awesome.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to the next one.